You know what terrifies me most about human beings. It is not their capacity for violence, not their greed, not even their stupidity, though God knows there is plenty of that to go around. No, what truly frightens me is how desperately afraid you are of being alone. You will do anything, absolutely anything, to avoid facing yourself. You will stay in marriages that suffocate you. You will maintain friendships that drain you. You will cling to jobs that kill your spirit slowly, day by day, just so you do not have to sit with yourself in silence. And the most tragic part, you call this love. You call this loyalty. You call this being a good person. But let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. You are not being good. You are being a coward. Listen to me carefully, because what I am about to tell you might save what is left of your life. Right now, at this very moment, you are dying. Not someday in the distant future, not when you are old and gray, but right now. Every day you spend pretending to be someone you are not. Every evening you go to bed having lived someone else's dream instead of your own. Every morning you wake up and put on that mask again. You are dying. And the worst part, nobody will cry at your funeral because the real you was already dead. They will cry for the mask, for the role you played, for the person they wanted you to be. But you, the authentic you, that person died years ago, suffocated under the weight of everyone else's expectations. Let me paint you a picture, and I want you to really see this, feel it in your bones. You are 52 years old. You have spent 3 decades building a life that looks perfect from the outside. You have the house, maybe you had the marriage, you have the career, you have the social circle. Your calendar is full. Your phone buzzes constantly. You are never alone. And yet, late at night, when everyone else is asleep, you lie there in the darkness and feel a terror so profound it takes your breath away. Because deep down in that place you refuse to look. You know the truth. You do not know who you are. You have spent so long being what others needed you to be that you have no idea what you actually want, what you actually feel, what you actually believe. You are a stranger to yourself. And that, my friend, is a special kind of hell. But here is where it gets truly frightening, and I need you to pay attention, because this is where most people lose everything. If you do not find the courage to walk alone, if you do not take the time to discover who you actually are beneath all those layers of conditioning and people pleasing and fear, you will never, and I mean never, have a real relationship, not with a partner, not with your children, not with anyone, because you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot offer authentic love when you do not authentically know yourself. And here is the cruel irony, the very thing you are afraid of. Being alone is the only thing that will save you from a lifetime of loneliness. Because right now, surrounded by all those people, you are more alone than you have ever been. You are alone inside a costume, inside a performance, inside a lie. And that is the loneliest place in the world. Now, some of you are thinking, but I cannot just walk away from everything. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. And you are right. I am not suggesting you abandon your responsibilities. But let me ask you something. Who decided those were your responsibilities? Did you choose them consciously, or did they choose you? Did you actively decide to live this life, or did you just drift into it because it was expected, because it was safe, because everyone else was doing it? You see, most people never actually choose their lives, they inherit them. They accept the default settings, and then they wonder why they feel so empty. Let me tell you about a woman I knew, brilliant, accomplished. Everyone admired her. She had built a successful business, raised 3 children, been married for 28 years. From the outside, she had it all. But she came to me one day, and I will never forget the look in her eyes. She said, "I feel like I am watching my life through a window. I am not living it. I am just watching it happen to someone who looks like me." And then she said something that broke my heart. She said, "I do not think I have ever made a single decision based on what I actually wanted. Not one. Every choice I have made has been about making someone else comfortable, making someone else happy, being what someone else needed. And now I am 56 years old, and I do not know if I even like coffee. I drink it every morning because my mother drank it, because my husband drinks it, but I have never actually asked myself if I like it." This might sound trivial to you, this business about coffee, but it is not trivial at all. It is everything. Because if you do not know whether you like coffee, what else do you not know about yourself? Do you know what brings you joy? Do you know what breaks your heart? Do you know what you believe in? Do you know what you are willing to fight for? Or have you been so busy playing your role, being the good wife, the good mother, the good employee, the good friend, that you have never stopped to ask who you actually are when nobody is watching? And here is where the real fear should kick in, because time is not on your side anymore. You are not 25 with decades ahead of you to figure this out. You are in your 40s, your 50s, maybe your 60s. The clock is ticking. And every day you wait, every day you tell yourself, you will deal with this later. You will explore yourself later. You will live authentically later, is a day you will never get back. Your ex-husband, if you have one, he is not sitting around waiting for you to find yourself. He is moving on. He is building a new life. And if you do not do the work, if you do not find the courage to walk alone and discover who you are, you will watch him find happiness with someone who did do that work. Someone who knows herself. Someone who is comfortable in her own skin. Someone who does not need him to complete her because she is already whole. And you will be left behind, not because you were not good enough, but because you were never really there. You were always performing, always pretending, always trying to be what you thought he wanted instead of being who you actually are. But it gets worse, because it is not just about him. It is about you. If you do not learn to walk alone, you will spend the rest of your life desperately seeking validation from others. You will jump from relationship to relationship, always hoping the next person will finally make you feel whole. You will chase success, money, status, thinking that if you just achieve enough, accumulate enough, impress enough people, you will finally feel worthy. But you will not, because worthiness does not come from outside. It comes from inside, and you cannot find it inside if you are too afraid to go there. let me be brutally honest with you. Most of you will not do this work. Most of you will hear what I am saying right now. You will nod your heads. You will feel a little stirring of recognition, and then you will go right back to your comfortable prison. Because as painful as your current situation is, it is familiar, and human beings will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom every single time. You would rather stay in a relationship that is slowly killing you than face the terror of being alone. You would rather keep pretending to be someone you are not than risk discovering that you do not know who you are. You would rather die a slow death than face the possibility of truly living. And you know what the most tragic part is? You will tell yourself you are doing it for others. You are staying for the children. You are staying because of financial security. You are staying because you made a commitment. But the truth you do not want to face is that you are staying because you are terrified. You are terrified of being alone. You are terrified of what you might discover about yourself. You are terrified that if you strip away all the roles and masks and performances, there might be nothing underneath. Or worse, there might be someone underneath that you do not like, that you do not recognize, that you do not know how to be. But here is what I know. After decades of working with thousands of people, that fear is lying to you. Underneath all those layers, underneath all that conditioning and pretending and performing, there is someone extraordinary. There is someone authentic, someone vibrant, someone fully alive. But you will never meet that person if you do not have the bravery to walk alone. You will never discover your own strength if you are always leaning on someone else. You will never hear your own voice if you are always listening to everyone else's opinions. You will never know your own heart if you are always trying to please everyone else's. Now, I can see some of you getting defensive. I can hear you thinking, but I am not weak. I have survived so much. I have been through hell and back, and I believe you. I am sure you have survived tremendous difficulties. But there is a difference between surviving and living. There is a difference between enduring and thriving. There is a difference between being strong for others and being strong for yourself. You have spent your whole life being strong for everyone else. You have held families together. You have supported partners through their crises. You have sacrificed your dreams so others could pursue theirs. And that takes strength. I am not denying that. But now, right now, I am asking you to be strong in a different way. I am asking you to be strong enough to disappoint people, strong enough to let others be uncomfortable, strong enough to stop performing and start being. Because here is what nobody tells you about walking alone. It is not actually about being alone forever. It is not about becoming some isolated hermit who rejects all human connection. No, it is about being alone long enough to remember who you are. It is about creating enough space and silence to hear your own thoughts, feel your own feelings, discover your own desires. It is about learning to be comfortable with yourself so that when you do connect with others, you are connecting as a whole person, not as a desperate fragment looking for someone else to complete you. And this is where everything changes. This is where your entire life transforms. Because when you know yourself, really know yourself, you stop settling. You stop accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. You stop tolerating disrespect and calling it compromise. You stop sacrificing your soul and calling it love. When you know yourself, you develop standards, not because you are arrogant, but because you understand your own value. And I am not talking about the superficial value society assigns you based on your age or appearance or accomplishments. I am talking about the intrinsic value you have simply because you exist, simply because you are a conscious being capable of love and growth and transformation. But let me tell you what happens if you do not do this work. And I want you to really feel this, because this is your future if you continue on your current path. 10 years from now, you will be older, more tired, more resigned. The people you were trying to please will have moved on with their own lives. Your children will be living their own stories. Your ex-partner, if you have one, will be happy with someone else or happy alone. And you will still be there, still performing, still pretending, still waiting for permission to be yourself. But now you will be older with less energy, less time, less possibility. And the regret, oh, the regret will be unbearable. You will look back at this moment, this very moment right now, and you will think, why did I not listen? Why did I not have the courage? Why did I waste so much time being afraid? Do not let that be your story. Please, I am begging you, do not let that be your story, because you deserve more. You deserve to know yourself. You deserve to like yourself. You deserve to wake up in the morning excited about your own life, not just going through the motions of someone else's script. You deserve to feel alive, fully alive, not just existing, not just surviving, but truly living. And that is only possible when you have the bravery to walk alone. Now, let me give you something practical, because I know some of you are thinking, okay, I understand this is important, but what do I actually do? How do I begin? And this is where we get into the real work, the practical steps that will transform your life if you have the courage to take them. But before I give you these steps, I need you to understand something crucial. This is not a quick fix. This is not a weekend workshop where you emerge transformed. This is a journey. It is a process. It is a daily practice. And it will be uncomfortable. It will be terrifying at times. You will want to quit. You will want to go back to your old patterns. But if you persist, if you keep walking even when you are scared, even when you are lonely, even when everyone around you thinks you are crazy, you will discover something so valuable, so precious, that everything else will pale in comparison. You will discover yourself. Step 1, and this is non-negotiable. You must create space. Physical space, temporal space, psychological space. You cannot discover yourself in the middle of chaos. You cannot hear your own voice when everyone else is shouting. So you must create boundaries. You must learn to say no. You must protect your time and energy as if your life depends on it, because it does. Start small. Maybe it is just 15 minutes a day where you sit in silence. No phone, no television, no distractions. Just you and silence. And I know what will happen. Your mind will go crazy. It will throw up every worry, every regret, every fear. It will try to convince you that this is a waste of time, that you should be doing something productive. But you must persist. You must sit through the discomfort, because on the other side of that mental noise, there is something else. There is a quiet voice that has been trying to reach you for years. That is your authentic self. That is who you really are. Step 2, you must question everything. Everything. Every belief you hold, every value you claim, every goal you are pursuing. Ask yourself, is this actually mine, or did I inherit it? Did I choose this, or was it chosen for me? Do I believe this because I have examined it and found it true? Or do I believe it because everyone around me believes it? This process is terrifying, because you will discover that many of the things you thought were fundamental to your identity are actually just borrowed ideas. You have been living someone else's life, following someone else's rules, pursuing someone else's dreams. But do not panic when you realize this. This is not a crisis. This is liberation. Because once you clear away everything that is not authentically yours, you create space for what is. You create space for your own truth, your own values, your own dreams. Step 3, and this is where most people fail, you must learn to tolerate discomfort. You must build your capacity to sit with difficult emotions without immediately trying to fix them or escape them or numb them. Because here is what happens. When you start to walk alone, when you start to question everything, when you start to create space, all the feelings you have been avoiding will come rushing in. Grief, anger, fear, sadness, loneliness. And your first instinct will be to run. You will want to call someone, distract yourself, jump into a new relationship, throw yourself into work, anything to avoid feeling what you are feeling. But you must not run. You must stay. You must feel it. Because these emotions are not your enemies. They are messengers. They are carrying information you need. That grief, it is showing you what mattered to you. That anger, it is showing you where your boundaries were violated. That fear, it is showing you where you need to grow. That loneliness, it is showing you that you have been disconnected from yourself, not from others. Let me tell you something about loneliness that nobody else will tell you. Loneliness is not the absence of people. Loneliness is the absence of self. You can be surrounded by 100 people and feel desperately lonely if you are not connected to yourself. And you can be completely alone and feel utterly fulfilled if you are deeply connected to who you are. So stop trying to fill your loneliness with people. Stop trying to fill it with activity. Stop trying to fill it with achievement. Instead, walk directly into it. Sit with it. Explore it. Ask it what it wants to teach you. Because I promise you, on the other side of that loneliness is something beautiful. On the other side is self-sufficiency. On the other side is inner peace. On the other side is the ability to connect with others from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. Step 4, you must develop a practice. And I do not care what that practice is. It could be meditation, it could be journaling, it could be walking in nature, it could be painting, it could be dancing. But you must have something that connects you to yourself on a regular basis. Something that is just for you, not for anyone else. Not to impress anyone, not to achieve anything. Just for the pure experience of being yourself. Because this is how you build a relationship with yourself. This is how you learn to trust yourself. This is how you discover what brings you joy, what gives you energy, what makes you feel alive. And you must protect this practice. You must prioritize it, especially when everyone around you thinks it is selfish or unnecessary. Because it is not selfish, it is essential. You cannot give from an empty cup. You cannot love others well if you do not love yourself. You cannot be present for others if you are not present for yourself. Now, let me address something that I know is on many of your minds: money. Because some of you are thinking, this all sounds lovely, but I cannot afford to walk alone. I need my partner's income. I need my job even though I hate it. I need to maintain these relationships even though they drain me because they provide financial security. And I understand this concern. I am not naive. I know that economic realities constrain choices. But let me challenge you on this. How much of your financial dependency is real, and how much is fear masquerading as practicality? How much of your need for security is actual need, and how much is an excuse to avoid change? I have worked with countless people who were convinced they could not afford to change their lives, who were certain that economic necessity required them to stay in soul-crushing situations. And you know what I discovered? In most cases, it was not actually about money. It was about fear. It was about the terror of the unknown. It was about the comfort of the familiar, even when the familiar was painful. Because here is the truth about money and security. They are important, yes, but they are not more important than your soul. They are not more important than your authenticity. They are not more important than actually living before you die. And here is something else I have observed. When people have the courage to align their lives with their authentic selves, when they stop compromising their souls for security, abundance often follows. Not always in the ways they expected, not always immediately, but it follows. Because when you are living authentically, you are energized, you are creative, you are resourceful. You find opportunities you never would have seen when you are stuck in fear and survival mode. But let me be clear, I am not suggesting you be reckless. I am not suggesting you quit your job tomorrow with no plan. I am not suggesting you blow up your life in a dramatic gesture. That is not bravery. That is just another form of running away. Real bravery is more subtle. Real bravery is making small, consistent choices that align with your authentic self. It is saving money so you have options. It is developing skills that increase your independence. It is having honest conversations instead of pretending everything is fine. It is setting boundaries even when it is uncomfortable. It is saying no to things that do not serve you, even when saying yes would be easier. This is the real work. This is the daily practice of walking alone. And speaking of daily practice, let me give you step 5. You must learn to listen to your body. Your body is constantly giving you information, but you have been trained to ignore it. You have been trained to override it, to push through, to keep going no matter what. But your body knows things your mind does not. Your body knows when something is wrong long before your mind admits it. That tension in your shoulders, that is not just stress. That is your body saying you are carrying too much. You are trying to be responsible for things that are not your responsibility. That knot in your stomach, that is not just anxiety. That is your body saying something in your life is not aligned with your truth. That exhaustion that no amount of sleep fixes, that is not just age. That is your body saying you are living someone else's life and it is draining your life force. So you must learn to listen. You must learn to pause and ask, what is my body trying to tell me? And then, and this is crucial, you must learn to trust it. Even when, especially when, what your body is telling you contradicts what everyone else is saying. Even when what your body is telling you is inconvenient or scary or socially unacceptable. Because your body does not lie. Your mind lies all the time. Your mind has been programmed with everyone else's opinions and expectations. But your body knows your truth. Let me tell you about a man I worked with, successful businessman. Everyone respected him, but he kept getting sick. Migraines, digestive issues, chronic pain. He went to doctor after doctor. They found nothing wrong. They suggested it was stress. They gave him medications, but nothing helped. When he came to me, I asked him one question. What is your body trying to get you to stop doing? And he looked at me like I was crazy. But I insisted. I said, your body is not your enemy. Your body is trying to protect you. What is it trying to get you to stop? And after sitting with that question for a while, he started to cry. He said, it is trying to get me to stop living my father's dream. I never wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to be a teacher. But my father built this company and everyone expected me to take over, and I did not have the courage to disappoint them. So I have spent 30 years doing something I hate, and my body is trying to get me to stop. That is the wisdom of the body. That is what happens when you ignore yourself for too long. Your body will force you to pay attention. It will create symptoms. It will break down, not because it is weak, but because it is trying to save you. So please, listen to your body. Honor what it is telling you. Rest when it needs rest. Move when it needs movement. Speak when it needs expression. Walk away when it needs distance. This is not selfishness. This is self-preservation. This is wisdom. Step 6, and this might be the most challenging one. You must be willing to disappoint people. You must be willing to let others be angry with you, upset with you, disappointed in you. Because if your entire life has been about pleasing others, about being what they need you to be, then the moment you start being authentic, the moment you start honoring yourself, some people are not going to like it. They are going to feel betrayed. They are going to accuse you of being selfish. They are going to tell you that you have changed, and not in a good way. And they are right. You have changed. You are no longer willing to sacrifice yourself for their comfort. You are no longer willing to pretend to be someone you are not. You are no longer available to play the role they assigned you. And this is going to upset them, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your liberation threatens their comfort. Your authenticity challenges their inauthenticity. Your courage highlights their cowardice. So you must be prepared for this. You must be prepared to lose people. Some relationships will not survive your transformation, and that is okay. That is not a failure, that is clarity. Those relationships were based on a false version of you. They were based on your performance, not your authentic self. And as painful as it is to lose them, you are not actually losing anything real. You are just clearing space for real connections. You are making room for people who can love the real you, not just the role you were playing. But I want to be honest with you about something. This part is going to hurt. It is going to hurt a lot. Because some of the people you lose might be people you love. They might be family members. They might be longtime friends. They might be your partner. And you are going to grieve those losses. You are going to question yourself. You are going to wonder if you made a mistake. You are going to be tempted to go back, to apologize, to resume your old role just to make the pain stop. But you must not. You must walk through this fire, because on the other side is something so valuable. On the other side are relationships based on truth. On the other side are people who see you and love you for who you actually are. On the other side is freedom. Now, let me address something specifically for those of you who are thinking about romantic relationships, because I know many of you are watching this after a divorce or breakup, and you are terrified that you will never find love again. You are terrified that if you do this work, if you walk alone, you will end up alone forever. And let me tell you something that might surprise you. That fear is actually preventing you from finding real love. Because right now, in your current state, desperate and afraid and not knowing yourself, you are not capable of real love. You are only capable of need. You are only capable of dependence. You are only capable of trying to use another person to fill the emptiness inside you. And that is not love. That is a transaction. That is two incomplete people clinging to each other, hoping the other person will make them whole. And it never works. It cannot work, because you cannot get from another person what you have not developed in yourself. But when you do the work, when you walk alone long enough to discover who you are, when you become comfortable in your own skin, when you develop your own interests and passions and purpose, something magical happens. You stop needing a relationship and you start wanting one. And that changes everything. Because when you do not need someone, you can choose them freely. You can see them clearly. You can love them for who they actually are, not for what you need them to be. And you can walk away if it is not right, because you know you will be okay. You know you are complete on your own. And paradoxically, this is when you become most attractive. This is when you become magnetic, because people are drawn to wholeness. People are drawn to authenticity. People are drawn to someone who is comfortable in their own skin. So if you want a real relationship, a healthy relationship, a relationship based on love rather than need, you must first walk alone. You must first become whole. You must first learn to love yourself. And I know that phrase, love yourself, has become a cliche. Everyone says it. It is on greeting cards and social media posts. But do you actually know what it means? Do you actually know how to do it? Because most people do not. Most people think loving yourself means treating yourself to a spa day or buying yourself something nice. And those things are fine, but that is not self-love. That is self-indulgence. Real self-love is much deeper. Real self-love is honoring your truth even when it is inconvenient. Real self-love is setting boundaries even when people get upset. Real self-love is choosing what is right for you even when it disappoints others. Real self-love is being willing to be disliked for who you are rather than liked for who you are not. And here is step 7. You must develop a vision for your life that is actually yours, not your parents' vision, not society's vision, not what you think you should want, but what you actually want. And this is harder than it sounds, because most of you have no idea what you actually want. You have spent so long wanting what you were supposed to want that you have lost touch with your own desires. So you must excavate them. You must dig beneath all the conditioning and expectations and find out what truly lights you up. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What would you pursue if nobody was watching? What brings you joy for no reason other than the pure experience of it? These are the questions that will lead you to your authentic desires. These are the questions that will help you build a life that is actually yours. But here is the catch. Once you discover what you actually want, you have to be brave enough to pursue it. You have to be brave enough to disappoint the people who had different plans for you. You have to be brave enough to look foolish, to make mistakes, to fail, because you will fail. You will make mistakes. You will have moments of doubt and fear and regret. But you will also have moments of pure aliveness. You will have moments where you feel so connected to yourself, so aligned with your truth, that all the fear and struggle will be worth it. You will have moments where you think, this is it. This is what it means to be alive. This is what I was born for. And those moments, my friend, those moments are what life is about. Not security, not comfort, not approval, but those moments of pure authenticity. Those moments when you are fully yourself, fully alive, fully present. That is what you are here for. That is what you have been missing. That is what you will find when you have the bravery to walk alone. Now, let me give you step 8. And this one is about your relationship with failure. You must redefine what failure means. Because right now, you probably think failure is making a mistake, not achieving a goal, disappointing someone, being rejected. But that is not failure. That is just life. That is just the process of growth. Real failure, the only real failure, is not trying. Real failure is living your entire life according to someone else's script and never discovering your own. Real failure is dying without ever having truly lived. Real failure is reaching the end of your life and realizing you played it safe. You stayed small. You never took the risk of being yourself. So you must reframe failure. You must see it not as something to avoid, but as information. Every mistake, every setback, every rejection is giving you information. It is showing you what does not work so you can find what does. It is showing you where you need to grow. It is showing you what you actually value, because you only feel like you have failed when you are pursuing something that matters to you. So instead of avoiding failure, instead of playing it safe, you must be willing to fail. You must be willing to try things that might not work. You must be willing to look foolish. You must be willing to be imperfect, because that is the only way to discover what is possible. That is the only way to grow. That is the only way to truly live. And here is something crucial about failure that most people do not understand. Your capacity to handle failure is directly related to your capacity for success. If you cannot tolerate failure, you will never take risks. If you never take risks, you will never discover what you are truly capable of. You will stay in your comfort zone, which is really just another name for your prison. But if you can learn to see failure as feedback, if you can learn to fail without it destroying your sense of self-worth, then you become unstoppable. Then you can try anything. Then you can pursue your wildest dreams, because you know that even if you fail, you will be okay. You will learn something. You will grow. You will be closer to discovering your authentic path. Step 9, and this is about your relationship with time. You must stop waiting. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting until you are ready. Stop waiting until you have more money, more security, more confidence. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop waiting for your life to begin, because this is it. This is your life right now, this moment, and it is passing. Every day you wait is a day you will never get back. Every day you tell yourself you will start tomorrow is a day you are choosing fear over courage. Every day you postpone your authentic life is a day you are dying instead of living. I know you are scared. I know you feel unprepared. I know you think you need more time, more resources, more support, but you do not. You have everything you need right now. You have yourself. You have this moment. You have the choice to begin. And beginning does not mean having it all figured out. Beginning does not mean being perfect. Beginning just means taking one small step in the direction of your truth. It means having one honest conversation. It means setting one boundary. It means spending 15 minutes in silence listening to yourself. It means asking yourself one real question and being willing to hear the answer. That is all. Just one step, and then another, and then another. That is how you walk alone. That is how you discover yourself. That is how you build an authentic life. But you must start. You must start now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down or when you feel ready. Now, because I promise you, there will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment when you feel completely ready. There will never be a situation where walking alone feels comfortable and safe. It will always be scary. It will always be uncomfortable. It will always require courage. So, you might as well start now. You might as well begin today. Because every day you wait, you are reinforcing the old patterns. Every day you wait, you are choosing fear. Every day you wait, you are dying a little more. And let me tell you what will happen if you do start, if you do find the courage to take that first step. At first, it will be terrifying. Your mind will scream at you. Your fear will try to convince you that you are making a terrible mistake. The people around you might react badly. You might feel more alone than you have ever felt, and you will be tempted to quit. You will be tempted to go back to your old life, your old patterns, your old self. But if you persist, if you keep walking even when you are scared, something will shift. It might take days, it might take weeks, it might take months, but something will shift. You will start to hear your own voice more clearly. You will start to feel more alive. You will start to experience moments of peace that you have never known before. you will start to like yourself. And that, my friend, that is when everything changes. Because when you start to like yourself, when you start to enjoy your own company, when you start to trust yourself, you stop seeking validation from others. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop performing. You just are. And there is a freedom in that, a lightness, a joy that most people never experience because they are too busy trying to be what everyone else wants them to be. Step 10, and this is about building what I call your inner authority. You must learn to trust yourself more than you trust anyone else. You must learn to value your own opinion more than you value others' opinions. You must learn to listen to your own inner guidance more than you listen to external advice. And this is radical. This goes against everything you have been taught. You have been taught to defer to experts, to follow the rules, to do what is expected. But I am telling you, nobody knows what is right for you better than you do. Nobody has access to your inner truth the way you do. Nobody can feel what you feel, know what you know, sense what you sense. So you must learn to trust that. You must learn to honor your own knowing, even when, especially when, it contradicts what everyone else is saying. Now, this does not mean you ignore all advice. This does not mean you become arrogant or closed-minded. It means you take in information, you consider different perspectives, but ultimately you make your own decisions based on your own truth. You become your own authority. And this is terrifying for most people because it means you are responsible. You cannot blame anyone else. You cannot say, well, they told me to do this. You cannot hide behind someone else's expertise or opinion. You have to own your choices. You have to own your life. But this is also incredibly empowering because when you are your own authority, you are free. You are not waiting for permission. You are not looking for validation. You are not trying to please anyone. You are simply living according to your own truth. And that is the ultimate freedom. That is what it means to walk alone. Not that you are isolated from others, but that you are self-directed. You are self-determined. You are self-authored. And here is step 11. You must practice radical honesty with yourself first and then with others. You must stop lying, stop pretending, stop performing. Stop saying you are fine when you are not. Stop agreeing when you disagree. Stop going along when you want to opt out. Stop smiling when you want to scream. Stop being nice when you need to be honest. Because every time you lie, every time you pretend, every time you perform, you betray yourself. You reinforce the message that your truth does not matter, that your feelings are not important, that you do not deserve to be seen and heard as you actually are. And I know why you do this. You do this because you are afraid. You are afraid of conflict. You are afraid of rejection. You are afraid of being too much or not enough. You are afraid that if people see the real you, they will not like you. But let me tell you something. The people who will not like the real you, they do not actually like you now. They like the performance. They like the mask. They like the version of you that makes them comfortable. So you are not actually risking anything real. You are just risking the illusion, and the illusion is killing you. So you must practice radical honesty. Start small. Start with yourself. Stop lying to yourself about how you feel, what you want, what you need. Keep a journal. Write down your truth. No censorship, no judgment, just raw, honest truth. And then gradually start being more honest with others. Start saying no when you mean no. Start expressing your actual opinion. Start asking for what you need. Start setting boundaries. And yes, some people will not like it. Some people will push back. Some people will try to guilt you back into your old role. But you must hold firm. You must honor your truth. Because your truth is the only thing you have that is truly yours. Everything else can be taken from you. But your truth, that is yours. And when you honor it, when you speak it, when you live it, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your life. Step 12, and this is about building resilience. You must develop the capacity to be with discomfort without immediately trying to fix it or escape it. Because walking alone is uncomfortable. Discovering yourself is uncomfortable. Being authentic is uncomfortable. And if you cannot tolerate discomfort, you will quit. You will go back to your old patterns because they are familiar, even if they are painful. So you must build your resilience. You must practice sitting with difficult emotions. You must practice being with uncertainty. You must practice tolerating the anxiety that comes with change. And here is how you do this. You start small. You sit with a difficult emotion for just 5 minutes. You do not try to fix it. You do not try to analyze it. You do not try to make it go away. You just feel it. You breathe with it. You allow it to be there. And then gradually you increase the time. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And what you will discover is that emotions are not actually dangerous. They feel intense, yes. They feel overwhelming sometimes, yes. But they will not destroy you. They will not kill you. They will just move through you if you let them. And on the other side, there is always peace. There is always clarity. There is always relief. This is how you build resilience, not by avoiding discomfort, but by learning to be with it, not by running from difficulty, but by learning to walk through it, not by seeking constant comfort, but by learning that you can handle discomfort. And when you develop this capacity, you become unstoppable because you are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer making decisions based on avoiding pain. You are making decisions based on what is true, what is right, what is aligned with your authentic self. And that changes everything. Now, let me tell you about step 13. And this is about creating what I call your sacred space. You need a physical place that is just yours. A place where you can go to be alone, to be quiet, to be yourself. It does not have to be big. It could be a corner of a room. It could be a chair by a window. It could be a spot in a park. But it needs to be a place where you feel safe, where you feel free, where you can drop the mask and just be. And you need to protect this space. You need to make it sacred. No phones, no distractions, no intrusions. This is your sanctuary. This is where you meet yourself. This is where you reconnect with your truth. And you need to spend time there regularly, daily if possible, even if it is just for 15 minutes. You go to your sacred space, you sit in silence, you breathe, you listen. You ask yourself, how am I really feeling? What do I really need? what is my truth right now? And you listen for the answer, not from your head, not from your conditioned mind, but from deeper, from your body, from your heart, from your soul. And you honor whatever comes up. You do not judge it. You do not analyze it. You just acknowledge it. You say, yes, I see you. I hear you. You matter. This practice, this simple practice of spending time alone in your sacred space will transform your life. Because this is where you build your relationship with yourself. This is where you learn to trust yourself. This is where you discover who you actually are beneath all the roles and masks and performances. And the stronger this relationship becomes, the less you need from others. The less you need validation, approval, permission. You become self-sufficient. Not in the sense that you do not need anyone, but in the sense that you are complete on your own. And from that place of completeness, you can connect with others in a much healthier way. You can love without clinging. You can give without depleting yourself. You can receive without feeling indebted. Step 14, and this is crucial. You must learn to celebrate your progress. You must learn to acknowledge how far you have come instead of only focusing on how far you still have to go. Because this journey of walking alone, of discovering yourself, of becoming authentic, it is not linear. It is not neat. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you feel like you are going backwards. There will be moments when you doubt everything. And if you are only focused on the destination, if you are only focused on being completely healed or completely transformed or completely enlightened, you will miss the beauty of the journey. You will miss the small victories. You will miss the moments of growth. You will miss the progress you are actually making. So you must celebrate. You must acknowledge. You set a boundary. Celebrate that. You spent 15 minutes in silence listening to yourself. Celebrate that. You said no when you wanted to say no. Celebrate that. You felt a difficult emotion without running away. Celebrate that. These are not small things. These are revolutionary acts. These are you choosing yourself. These are you honoring your truth. These are you walking alone, and they deserve to be celebrated. And here is why this matters. When you celebrate your progress, you reinforce the new patterns. You tell your brain, yes, this is good. This is what we want more of. You build momentum. You build confidence. You build evidence that you can do this, that you are doing this, that you are changing. And that evidence is crucial because your fear will try to convince you that nothing is changing, that you are wasting your time, that you should just give up and go back to your old life. But if you have evidence, if you have been tracking and celebrating your progress, you can counter that fear. You can say, no, look at all these ways I have grown. Look at all these times I chose courage over fear. Look at how far I have come. Step 15, and this is about your relationship with pleasure. You must learn to experience pleasure without guilt. You must learn to enjoy things simply because they bring you joy, not because they are productive or useful or approved of by others. Because most of you have been taught that pleasure is selfish, that enjoyment is frivolous, that you should always be doing something useful. But that is a lie. That is programming designed to keep you productive and compliant. The truth is, pleasure is essential. Joy is essential. Enjoyment is essential, not because it serves some greater purpose, but because it is part of being alive. It is part of being human. So you must give yourself permission to experience pleasure, to enjoy a beautiful sunset, to savor a delicious meal, to listen to music that moves you, to dance for no reason, to laugh until your stomach hurts, to do things simply because they feel good. And you must do this without justifying it, without earning it, without feeling guilty about it. You must learn that you deserve pleasure simply because you exist. You do not have to be productive enough or good enough or accomplished enough to deserve joy. You deserve it simply because you are alive. And here is what happens when you allow yourself to experience pleasure without guilt. You start to feel more alive. You start to connect with your senses. You start to be present in your body instead of always living in your head. You start to enjoy your life instead of just enduring it. And this changes everything. Because when you are enjoying your life, when you are experiencing pleasure, when you are feeling alive, you are not desperate. You are not needy. You are not looking for someone else to make you happy. You are already happy. You are already fulfilled. And from that place, you can create and connect and contribute in ways you never could when you were just surviving. Now, let me talk about step 16, and this is about forgiveness. But not the kind of forgiveness you have been taught. Not the kind where you pretend everything is okay, where you let people continue to hurt you, where you sacrifice yourself for the sake of peace. No, real forgiveness is something different. Real forgiveness is releasing yourself from the prison of resentment. Real forgiveness is choosing freedom over bitterness. Real forgiveness is acknowledging that what happened, happened, and you cannot change it, but you can choose how much power you give it in your present life. So you must forgive, not for their sake, but for yours. You must forgive your parents for not knowing how to love you the way you needed. You must forgive your ex-partner for not being who you wanted them to be. You must forgive your friends for disappointing you. You must forgive yourself for all the times you betrayed yourself, abandoned yourself, sacrificed yourself. Because holding on to resentment, holding on to anger, holding on to blame, it is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only hurts you. It only keeps you trapped. It only prevents you from moving forward. But forgiveness does not mean you have to reconcile. Forgiveness does not mean you have to let them back into your life. Forgiveness does not mean you pretend it did not hurt. It just means you release the charge. You release the grip it has on you. You say, yes, that happened. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it was wrong. And I am choosing to let it go so I can be free. And this is hard. This might be the hardest thing you ever do, because part of you wants to hold on to the anger. Part of you thinks you deserve to be angry. Part of you is afraid that if you let go of the anger, you are saying what happened was okay. But you are not. You are just saying you are choosing freedom. You are choosing yourself. You are choosing to walk into your future unburdened by your past. Step 17. And this is about building your support system. Now, I know I have been talking about walking alone, And some of you might think that means you do not need anyone, but that is not what I mean. Walking alone means you are self sufficient, self directed, self authored. It does not mean you are isolated. It does not mean you do not need connection. Humans are social creatures. We need each other. We need support. We need community. But the key is you need to build a support system that actually supports your authentic self, not your mask. So you must be selective. You must be intentional. You must surround yourself with people who can handle your truth. People who do not need you to pretend. People who do not need you to play a role. People who can see you, really see you, and love you anyway. And these people might not be your family. They might not be your old friends. They might be new people you meet on this journey. People who are also doing the work. People who are also committed to authenticity. People who are also brave enough to walk alone. And you must be willing to let go of the relationships that do not support your growth. I know that is painful. I know you feel loyal. I know you have history. But if a relationship requires you to be someone you are not, if a relationship punishes you for being authentic, if a relationship drains your energy and leaves you feeling empty, it is not a real relationship. It is a transaction, and you must be willing to end it. Not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity, with compassion, with the understanding that you have outgrown it, and that is okay. That is not a failure. That is growth. Step 18, and this is about developing what I call your creative expression. You must find a way to express what is inside you, to give form to your inner experience, to create something that is uniquely yours. And I do not care what form this takes. It could be writing, painting, dancing, singing, gardening, cooking, building, anything. But you must have some way of taking what is inside you and bringing it out into the world. Because this is how you discover yourself. This is how you process your experience. This is how you make meaning, and you must do this without judgment. You must do this without worrying about whether it is good enough or whether anyone will like it or whether it has any value. You must do it simply for the sake of expression, simply for the sake of giving form to what is inside you. Because when you do this, when you create, you are saying, I exist, I have something to express, I matter. And that is a radical act. That is you claiming your place in the world. That is you honoring your unique perspective, your unique experience, your unique truth. And here is what happens when you develop a creative practice. You start to feel more alive. You start to access parts of yourself you did not know existed. You start to discover capacities you did not know you had. You start to feel a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of contribution. And this changes everything. Because when you feel like you have something to contribute, when you feel like you have something unique to offer, you stop feeling like a victim. You stop feeling powerless. You stop feeling like life is just something that happens to you. You start to feel like an active participant. You start to feel like a creator. You start to feel like you have agency. Step 19, and this is about learning to rest. Real rest, not just sleep, though sleep is important, but real rest. The kind of rest that restores your soul. The kind of rest that happens when you stop performing, stop producing, Stop trying to prove yourself. The kind of rest that happens when you give yourself permission to just be, to exist without purpose, to breathe without agenda, to simply be alive without having to justify your existence through achievement or productivity or usefulness. Because most of you are exhausted, not just physically tired, though you are that too, but soul tired, exhausted from pretending, exhausted from performing, exhausted from trying to be everything to everyone, exhausted from never being enough. And you need rest. You need deep, restorative, soul level rest. And you are not going to get that from a vacation or a spa day, though those things are nice. You are going to get that from stopping, from truly stopping, from giving yourself permission to do nothing, to be nobody, to have no agenda, to just exist. And this is terrifying for most people, because when you stop, when you are not doing or achieving or producing, you have to face yourself. You have to face all the feelings you have been avoiding. You have to face all the questions you have been running from. You have to face the emptiness you have been trying to fill with activity. But you must do this. You must stop. You must rest. Because on the other side of that rest, on the other side of that facing yourself, there is renewal, there is clarity, there is energy, there is life. Step 20, and this is the final step, though really it is not a step at all. It is a practice, a way of being that you must commit to for the rest of your life. You must continue to choose yourself every single day, in every single moment. You must continue to honor your truth, even when it is inconvenient. You must continue to set boundaries, even when people push back. You must continue to listen to yourself, even when everyone else has a different opinion. You must continue to walk alone, even when you are invited to compromise yourself for the sake of connection. Because this is not something you do once and then you are done. This is not a destination you arrive at. This is a practice. This is a commitment. This is a way of life. And there will be days when you slip. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns. There will be days when you choose fear over courage, when you choose approval over authenticity, when you choose comfort over truth. And that is okay. That is human. That is part of the process. The key is that you notice, you acknowledge, you forgive yourself, and you choose again. You always have the opportunity to choose again. And here is what I want you to understand. This journey of walking alone, of discovering yourself, of becoming authentic, it is not about perfection. It is not about getting it right all the time. It is not about never making mistakes. It is about commitment. It is about choosing yourself more often than you do not. It is about gradually, incrementally, consistently moving in the direction of your truth. And every time you make that choice, every time you honor yourself, every time you walk alone, instead of compromising yourself for the sake of connection, you are building something. You are building self-trust. You are building self-respect. You are building a life that is actually yours. And I want to tell you something that nobody else will tell you. This is hard. This is the hardest thing you will ever do. It is harder than staying in a bad marriage. It is harder than tolerating a soul-crushing job. It is harder than maintaining relationships that drain you, because those things, as painful as they are familiar. They are known. They are safe in their own terrible way. But walking alone, discovering yourself, being authentic, that is unknown territory. That is scary. That is uncertain. And your brain hates uncertainty. Your brain wants safety and predictability, even if that safety is painful, even if that predictability is soul crushing. So you have to be willing to override your brain's desire for safety. You have to be willing to walk into the unknown. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be scared, because that is where growth happens. That is where transformation happens. That is where life happens. Not in the safe zone, not in the comfort zone, but out there in the scary unknown, where you do not know what is going to happen, where you do not have all the answers, where you have to trust yourself to figure it out as you go. And let me tell you what is on the other side of that fear. Let me tell you what is waiting for you if you have the courage to walk alone. Freedom, real freedom, not the illusion of freedom that comes from having money or status or independence, but real freedom, the freedom to be yourself, the freedom to express your truth, the freedom to live according to your own values, the freedom to make your own choices, the freedom to create your own life. And that freedom, that is worth everything. That is worth all the fear, all the discomfort, all the uncertainty. Because without that freedom, you are just a prisoner of other people's expectations, a prisoner of your own fear, a prisoner of a life you never actually chose. So I am asking you, I am begging you, choose freedom, choose yourself, choose to walk alone. Not because you do not want connection, but because you want real connection. Not because you do not want love, but because you want real love. Not because you do not want a life with others, but because you want to bring your authentic self to that life. And you cannot do that if you do not know who you are. You cannot do that if you have never spent time alone. You cannot do that if you have never had the courage to face yourself. And I know some of you are thinking, but what if I walk alone and I discover that I do not like who I am? What if I discover that underneath all the masks and roles and performances, there is nothing there? Or worse, there is something terrible there. And let me tell you, that fear is understandable, but it is also completely unfounded. Because I have worked with thousands of people, I have guided thousands of people through this process of walking alone and discovering themselves. And you know what I have found? Not once, not a single time have I seen someone discover that they are fundamentally bad or worthless or unlovable. Not once. What I have seen every single time is someone discover that they are much more than they thought they were. Much more interesting, much more capable, much more lovable, much more powerful than they ever imagined. Because the truth is, you are not your conditioning. You are not your wounds. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. Those things have happened to you. Those things have shaped you, but they are not you. Underneath all of that, there is something pure, something authentic, something beautiful, something that has been waiting your entire life to be seen, to be heard, to be expressed. And that is what you will find when you walk alone. That is what you will discover when you have the courage to face yourself. Not something terrible, something magnificent. And when you discover that, when you meet your authentic self, everything changes. You stop seeking validation because you validate yourself. You stop seeking approval because you approve of yourself. You stop seeking love because you love yourself. And from that place of self-love and self-acceptance and self-knowledge, you can create a life that is beyond anything you have imagined. You can have relationships that are real and deep and nourishing. You can do work that is meaningful and fulfilling. You can experience joy and pleasure and aliveness in ways you never thought possible, because you are no longer living someone else's life. You are living yours. So let me ask you a question. What are you waiting for? What more do you need to hear? What more do you need to know? What more do you need to have before you are willing to take that first step? Because I promise you, there will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment when you feel completely ready. There will never be a situation where walking alone feels safe and comfortable. It will always require courage. It will always require faith. It will always require you to choose yourself even when you are scared. But you can do this. I know you can, because you are still here. You are still listening. You are still searching. You are still hoping. And that means something in you knows there is more. Something in you knows you are meant for more than this half-life you have been living. Something in you knows you are capable of more. And that something, that is your authentic self. That is your soul. That is your truth. And it is calling you, it has been calling you your entire life. And it is past time to answer that call. So here is what I want you to do. Right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, I want you to take one action, just one, that honors your truth. It could be saying no to something you do not want to do. It could be saying yes to something you do want to do. It could be having an honest conversation. It could be setting a boundary. It could be spending 15 minutes alone in silence. It could be writing down how you really feel. It could be anything, but it has to be something that honors you. Something that says, I matter. My truth matters. My life matters. And I am choosing to honor that. And then tomorrow, I want you to do it again. One action, one choice, one moment of honoring yourself. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Because this is how you build a life. Not through grand gestures, not through dramatic transformations, but through small, consistent choices, through daily practices, through moment-by-moment decisions to choose yourself over fear, to choose truth over comfort, to choose authenticity over approval. And I am not going to lie to you. Some days will be harder than others. Some days you will want to quit. Some days you will feel like you are not making any progress. Some days you will feel more alone than you have ever felt. But you must keep going. You must keep choosing yourself. You must keep walking alone. Because every time you do, every time you honor your truth, every time you choose courage over fear, you are building something. You are building a relationship with yourself. You are building self-trust. You are building a life that is actually yours. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you will wake up and realize something has shifted. You will realize that you are not as afraid anymore. You will realize that you actually like spending time with yourself. You will realize that you know who you are. You will realize that you trust yourself. You will realize that you are free. And on that day, you will look back at this moment right now, when you made the decision to start walking alone. And you will be so grateful. You will be so grateful that you had the courage. You will be so grateful that you did not give up. You will be so grateful that you chose yourself. Because that is what this is really about. Not walking alone in the sense of isolation, but walking alone in the sense of self-direction, self-determination, self-authorship. It is about taking responsibility for your own life. It is about stopping the blame, stopping the excuses, stopping the waiting for someone else to save you, and starting to save yourself, starting to honor yourself, starting to love yourself, starting to be yourself. And when you do that, when you truly do that, you will discover something miraculous. You will discover that you were never actually alone. You will discover that you have always been accompanied by something much more reliable than any person, any relationship, any external circumstance. You have always been accompanied by yourself, by your own strength, by your own wisdom, by your own capacity for love and growth and transformation. And that is the most reliable companion you could ever have. Because everyone else might leave, everyone else might disappoint you, everyone else might change. But you are with yourself until the end. So you might as well learn to enjoy the company. You might as well learn to trust yourself. You might as well learn to love yourself. And here is the beautiful irony. When you learn to walk alone, when you learn to be comfortable with yourself, when you learn to love yourself, you become more capable of real connection than you have ever been. Because you are no longer connecting from need. You are no longer connecting from desperation. You are no longer connecting from a place of trying to fill a void. You are connecting from wholeness. You are connecting from choice. You are connecting from love rather than fear. And that changes everything. That transforms every relationship in your life. So this is my invitation to you. This is my challenge to you. This is my gift to you. Walk alone. Have the bravery to walk alone. Not forever, not as a permanent state, but for long enough to discover who you are. For long enough to learn to trust yourself. For long enough to develop your own inner authority. For long enough to know your own truth. And then from that place of self-knowledge and self-love and self-trust, go back into the world, connect with others, build relationships, create community. But do it as a whole person. Do it as someone who knows themselves. Do it as someone who is choosing connection rather than needing it. Because that is the difference. That is what changes everything. When you need connection, you are willing to compromise yourself to get it. You are willing to pretend. You are willing to perform. You are willing to sacrifice your truth. But when you choose connection, when you connect from a place of wholeness, you can be authentic. You can be real. You can be yourself. And that is when real love becomes possible. That is when real intimacy becomes possible. That is when real fulfillment becomes possible. So walk alone, have the courage, take the risk, face the fear, do the work, and discover what has been waiting for you your entire life. Discover yourself, discover your truth, discover your power, discover your freedom, because that is what you are here for. That is what this life is for. Not to play small,